Greetings mga ka-spacers natin out there. Magandang araw po sa inyong lahat. This is your ka-spacer and space commander, Professor Jun Cajigal. And welcome to another Saturday live stream event entitled BSYA Presents, wherein we will be featuring videos made and prepared by the members of the Bedouin Society of Young Astronomers. So for tonight, mga ka-spacers, we will be featuring 3 videos made by the members of BSYA. And before we begin, mga ka-spacers, siguro bago po tayo magsimula, please like and share this video presentation kasi marami po kayong matututunan dito. Please like and share this video so that we could reach more people, especially the students out there, para po ma-inspire natin sila to love the sciences, especially astronomy. And marami po kayong mapupulot at matututunan sa ating video presentations ngayong gabi. So for our first video presentation, we will be featuring the art of space traveling. So ano ba tong art of space traveling? So ito'y paliliwanag sa ating first video, research and made by the members of BSYA. And again po mga ka-spacers, please like and share. Tapusin niyo po itong aming video presentations at marami po kayong matututunan dito. Alright, so let us now watch this first video entitled The Art of Space Traveling. Alright mga ka-spacers, let's watch this!
Good evening mga ka-spacers. Welcome to the 4th day of the BSYA's 13 Days to Christmas. For today's topic, the art of space traveling. I am Hannah Marie Franstan and here with me tonight is my ka-spacer partner,
Brant Nathan Lasseter Lorcha, greeting you all with an astronomical night. Now, if you may ask, what is space art? Space art is any form of artistic expression that depicts things outside of our own world. Planets, nebulas, the moon, satellites, or maybe possibly extraterrestrial life. Did you know that there is actually a wide range of astronomical arts? So we shall start at the very beginning, of course. We will not keep you waiting any longer. So, ka-spacer partner, itatabi ko na. Ikaw na!
Yes, partner, itabi mo na talaga. Ako na. Now, for the first on our list, this is Alexi, the first man to do a spacewalk. He nearly got trapped in space, but we're not here to talk about mortal danger. We're here to talk about art. He drew this, the Earth's horizon. All he used were some colored pencils and a small bit of paper. Though pencil were a bit problematic, pencil lead can shatter and scatter their matter all over the ship, which could harm the astronauts and the delicate electronics. This is the same reason why NASA developed pressurized pens for their astronauts. Ball pens wouldn't work either because gravity wouldn't pull the ink down. So, special space pens it is. But nevertheless, Alexi was so enamored with space and the moment that he just had to draw what he was seeing. And wouldn't you do if you could? To capture the first of humanity? And here is a photograph of him drawing. A bit meta. Fascinating.
Now proceeding. In 1986, the 12th of January, NASA launched a space shuttle with holding inside 4 oil paintings. But why? Well, because of NASA's Getaway Special, also known as GAS, of course. GAS was a program that allowed interested researchers to launch their experiment to space. It wasn't successful at times though. But at least someone out there thought to test the properties of paint in space before the program was cancelled. The cross-discipline team, a tag team, Ellery Kurtz and Howard Wishnow, founded Vertical Horizons. Kurtz is the artist of the two, while Wishnow is an environmental psychologist, which basically means he studies how the environment affects the state of a person. Not how trees think. That would be something Cleve Baxter would do. Look him up. He's weird. Just like me. But why conduct this experiment? Well, because the astronauts and cosmonauts need their decor too. Food and water is good enough. It's great. But the aesthetics matter. Wishnow would know, that's for sure.
Moving on from specific works of art and now focusing more on organizations. Let us not waste any more minutes and we will now introduce them to all of you. Here on our list we have the International Association of Astronomical Artists, or simply IAAA. Yeah, 3 A's. IAAA is a non-profit organization whose members implement and participate in astronomical and space art projects, promote education about space art, and foster international cooperation in artistic work inspired by the exploration of the universe. They may also be called upon to depict those very probes and satellites, often working with NASA or JPL scientists. But who is out there to photograph them? They paint in oils, acrylics, gouache and markers, use pens, pastels, or colored pencils, or the latest digital technology. But these artists have an advantage over mere technology, for they can travel where machines cannot. And this includes into the past, the future, and faster than light. A major activity of the IAAA are space art workshops. In most cases at remote locations with geology common to what has been discovered on other worlds, Iceland, Death Valley, Hawaii, the Colorado Plateau, including Meteor Crater, and other locations with a sense of the unworldly about them have been visited in workshops. Painting and sketching such scenery outdoors helps in training the artists to know the landscape and the forces shaping it, as well as to reinforce the sensory impressions one is putting into their work of the effects of light and shade in the atmosphere.
And now, ending this presentation space-tastically, I now present you Cosmica. Cosmica is a global institution founded in 2011 with the mission to create a space organization for critical, cultural, and poetic discourse on our relationship with outer space, space exploration, and the impact of these activities here on our lovely planet Earth. Cosmica curates and produces original content, projects, and programs. Each of their activities are unique, bringing together experts across disciplines to explore the cultural impact of space exploration, the future of humanity, and the most urgent issues we are currently facing on our lovely and only planet. They work in partnership with cultural, academic, and scientific institutions, as well as the space industry, all around the world to deliver our initiatives.
It may be saddening to bid our goodbyes for now, but do not worry because every goodbye is equivalent to another hello because day 5 is coming up. So mga ka-spacers, alam nyo na. Stay tuned lang po because we will be your companion for the next 13 astronomical days. Once again, I am Hannah Marie Francie Tan.
And I am Brant Nathan Lasseter Lorcha. And we are your Kaspacer tandem for tonight, saying, Live long and prosper.
ka-spacers, so yun palang ibig sabihin ng the art of space traveling. So marami akong natutunan doon. Maraming salamat sa mga members ng BSYA who prepared that first video presentation at marami akong natutunan dyan. So sana kayo rin mga ka-spacers. So sana marami kayong natutunan about the art of space traveling. Alright, so in our next video presentation, we will be featuring this video entitled Mankind's Life in Space. So ano kaya ang buhay or ano ba yung mga challenges na kinaharap ng isang astronaut? Yan, so alam niyo po ako nung bata ako talagang gusto kong maging astronaut noon. No? And sayang hindi natuloy, pero talagang maraming challenges no na haharapin ng isang astronaut. So yan po yung ating second video ngayon. Alright, so mga ka-spacers, sana tapusin nyo itong ating video presentations, and again, please like and share itong ating video presentation again so that we could reach more people para ma-inspire po natin sila to love the sciences. Okay, so let's watch the second video entitled Mankind's Life in Space. Alright, let's watch this!
A supercalifragilisticexpialidocious day to everyone. I am Katrina Ramos,
And I am Giancarlo Martin.
proudly presenting BSYA's Day 11 entitled All About Astronauts, Mankind's Life in Space.
Nako partner, that sounds interesting. O sige nga, if you're aware of the topic, give me some names of the famous astronauts that changed the face of science.
The famous astronauts that I know changed the face of science are Neil Armstrong, Gene Cernan, Yuri Gagarin, at syempre partner. There are many more people who contributed and changed the face of science.
Without further ado, pag-usapan na natin how their lives have been.
A little background muna on their general experiences, partner. For over 50 years, NASA's Human Research Program, or the HRP, has studied what happens to the human body in space. Researchers are using what they learned to design procedures, devices, and strategies to keep astronauts safe and healthy throughout their mission. So for the ascent and re-entry, partner, during takeoff and re-entry, space travelers can experience several times of normal gravity. An untrained person can usually withstand about 3 gravitational force, but can black out at 4 to 6 gravitational force. So the G-force in the vertical direction is more difficult to tolerate than a force perpendicular to the spine, because blood flows away from the brain and eyes. First, the person experiences a temporary loss of vision, and then at a higher G-forces, loses consciousness. G-force training in a G-suit, which constricts the body to keep more blood in the head, can mitigate the effects. Most spacecrafts are designed to keep G-forces within comfortable limits.
Nako partner, you're starting to amaze me with your knowledge, huh?
Wait, partner, there's more. There are a lot of things to consider during space exploration, such as space radiation, isolation, confinement, distance to Earth, gravity fields, hostile or close environments, fluid distribution, vacuum, weightlessness, lastly, boat and muscle deterioration. When heading back home after an extended trip in space can be difficult, not just for your body, but for your mental state also. Depending on the duration of the trip, it can take on an average anywhere from 45 days to a couple of months, or even a year, for people to readjust being back on planet Earth. This is due to the effects of microgravity. Astronauts usually go through a period of physical therapy as their body needs to readjust to the gravity on Earth. Astronauts are even mentally evaluated after they return, something that NASA takes very seriously.
Thank you for that information, partner. You never fail to amaze me. Pero syempre, ako din meron akong pabaon.
Sige nga, partner, parinig nga naman yan.
This is about one of the world's most famous astronauts. Can you guess kung sino siya, partner?
Neil Armstrong, partner.
Tumpak, partner. Neil Armstrong is one of the most famous astronauts in the world. He is born in Wapakoneta, Ohio on August 5, 1930. Armstrong entered the NASA astronaut program in 1962 and was command pilot for his first mission, Gemini 8, in 1966, and he was spacecraft commander for Apollo 11. During his early years, he completed his degree in 1955 and immediately became a research pilot for the National Advisory Committee for Aeronautics. Later, the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, NASA, on March 16, 1966. Armstrong as command pilot of Gemini 8 and David R. Ascot rendezvoused with an unmanned Agena rocket and completed the first manual space docking maneuver. After the docking, a rocket thruster malfunction sent the spacecraft into an uncontrolled spin and forced them to separate from the Agena.
Grabe, partner! Ang talino naman pala talaga ni Neil Armstrong. Talaga nga namang Armstrong nga.
When the first moon exploration started 4 days later at 4:17 p.m. U.S. Eastern Daylight Time, the Eagle lunar landing module, guided manually by Armstrong, touched down on a plain near the southwestern edge of the Sea of Tranquility, Mare Tranquillitatis, at 10:56 p.m. EDT on July 20, 1969. Armstrong stepped from the Eagle onto the moon's dusty surface with the words, "That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind." In the excitement of the moment, Armstrong skipped the A in the statement that he had prepared. Armstrong and Aldrin left the module for more than 2 hours and deployed scientific instruments, collected surface samples, and took numerous photographs.
Akala mo ba ikaw lang, partner? Let me introduce Gene Cernan, the second American to walk in space. Cernan was an American astronaut, naval aviator, electrical engineer, aeronautical engineer, and fighter pilot. Cernan became the 11th man to walk on moon during the Apollo 17 mission. He is the last man to walk on the moon as of 2021, having re-entered the Apollo lunar module after Harrison Schmitt on their third and final lunar excursion.
What more, partner? This seems interesting.
Cernan earned a bachelor's degree in electrical engineering from Purdue University and was commissioned in the United States Navy in 1956. That same year, he joined the Navy as a naval aviator. He made over 200 landings on aircraft carriers. He earned a master's degree in aeronautical engineering from the United States Air Force Academy in 1963. He was chosen by NASA as a part of the third group of astronauts to participate in the Gemini and Apollo space programs in October of 1963. For Cernan's first mission, he and Thomas P. Stafford were launched into space on June 3, 1966 in Gemini 9. Cernan became the second American to walk in space when he undertook more than 2 hours of extravehicular activity in what proved to be a dangerously faulty spacesuit. During the 3-day mission, Gemini 9 rendezvoused 3 times with a target vehicle. Cernan declined the chance to walk on the moon as the lunar module pilot of Apollo 16, preferring to risk missing a flight for the chance to command his mission. Cernan returned to the Apollo rotation as commander of the backup crew of Cernan, Ronald E. Evans, and Joe Engel for Apollo 14, putting him in a position to command his crew on Apollo 17.
Naku, partner, kilala mo naman ata masyado si Cernan. Halatang idol mo, ha?
Eto pa, partner. On their way to the moon, Apollo 17 crew took one of the most iconic photographs in space program history. The full view of the Earth, dubbed the Blue Marble. Despite its frame, the photograph hasn't been appreciated. Cernan said in 2007, he and Schmitt, a geologist, explored the Taurus littoral region of the moon's surface during December 11 to 14, collecting some 115 kilograms or approximately 249 pounds of lunar rocks and other surface materials for study. Last but not least, in 1976, Cernan retired from the Navy with the rank of captain and went from NASA into private business, becoming the executive vice president of Coral Petroleum Incorporated, before starting his own company, the Cernan Corporation, in 1981, and in 1999, with co-author Donald A. Davis, he published his memoir, The Last Man on the Moon, which is about his naval and NASA career. He is featured in the space exploration documentary In the Shadow of the Moon, in which he said, "Truth needs no defense, and nobody can take those footsteps I made on the surface of the moon away from me." Cernan also contributed to the book of the same name.
Super bright mo talaga, partner. Ang dami kong natutunan sa'yo.
Wala mo pa ako, partner. Sus, ikaw nga may flip-flip ka dyan eh.
Sana maraming ding natutunan ng ating viewers.
Oo nga. Thank you guys. Till the next time ulit.
So yan mga ka-spacers, so that's mankind's life in space. So talagang maraming challenges ang kailangang harapin ng isang astronaut. Yan, so kahit na maraming challenges talagang gustong-gusto ko pa rin talaga maging astronaut. Yun po talaga ang pangarap ko. No, libre naman mangarap po mga ka-spacers. Ayan, so sana dumating yung panahon na makarating naman po ako kahit sa buwan man lang. Alright, so yan, sana marami kayong natutunan dun sa second video na yan. And dun sa first video kanina, sana marami rin din po kayo natutunan. And if you have any questions or comments or reactions dun sa aming dalawang videos na present namin ngayon, please type in your questions, your comments, and your reactions in our comment section below. And kung gusto nyo po magpa-shoutout, just type in your name and your location para alam namin kung saan nakakaabot ang aming live stream broadcast ngayong gabi. Alright, and in our third and last video, we will be featuring the Trailblazing Women of Astronomy. Ayan po. So, wag na tayo magputumpik-tumpik pa. Let's watch this, mga ka-spacers. Let's go!
The great Annie Jump Cannon once said that a life spent in the routine of science need not destroy the attractive human element of a woman's nature.
And Mary Proctor said that when we gaze at the starlit heavens and admire the silvery radiance of the Milky Way, we would faint believe that there is an absolute silence and rest, a perfect haven of ripples. Good day!
And Merry Christmas, mga ka-spacers! Hannah Tan, your Santa for tonight, telling you not to be shy and express yourself in a way that you are satisfied.
And my name is Shiva Cruz, your reindeer Rudolph, telling you to fly high, aim high, and find the star that's meant for you.
And we are your hosts for Day 10, entitled The Trailblazing Woman in Astronomy.
So, Hannah, who's your favorite female astronomer?
Clue, Matthew. Think of a chocolate hat. You get what I mean? Herschel, Hershey. Corny. Okay, going back, the first lady we will meet today is Caroline Herschel. She was born in Germany on March 16, 1750 and died January 9, 1848. She was one of the 10 children of Anne Isle Moritzen and Isaac Herschel. Her brother's hobby was astronomy and devoted most of his free time making telescopes. As his brother decided to quit being a musician, Caroline then assisted him and chose to divert her attention in the field of astronomy as they teamed up together. She did only take part of an amanuensis, which are the ones who copy the manuscript, but she frequently performed some complicated equations that were used for the observatories. Her astronomical career started when she became his brother's apprentice until she started to do things on her own. Now, following with the contributions made by Caroline in the field of astronomy, she helped her brother develop the modern mathematical approach to astronomy. Caroline is also the first woman that was credited with discovering a comet along with us. Few of her famous discoveries were the open cluster NGC 2360, Andromeda Galaxy's companion nebula NGC 205, and a comet.
Professional woman in the United States, and her name is Maria Mitchell. She was born on August first in the year 1818 in Nantucket, Massachusetts, and joined the stars on June 28, 1889. She was the third of 10 children of William and Lydia Mitchell. Her involvement in astronomy began actually during her childhood, where she was influenced by her father. At a young age, she had helped her father calculate the exact position of their house. Mary Mitchell then attended a school conducted by her father and later on completed her education at the age of 16. For 20 long years, she worked as a librarian and then later resigned to focus on traveling and studying astronomy. But on October 1st, 1847, she discovered a comet using a 2-inch telescope that would be named later on Miss Mitchell's Comet. She traveled all throughout Europe and met different astronomers. She also became involved in the anti-slavery and suffrage movement, which back in the old ages, it was a very, very, very common practice, especially in the United States and in Europe. Then in the year 1865, she was then recruited by the founder of the Vassar College to be an astronomy professor, which she taught her students and often published journals where men were only featured. She then retired in the year 1888, but further continued her research in Massachusetts, where her sister lived. Then the astronomers honored her by naming the lunar crater after her.
Now, let's meet the woman of astronomy that I quoted earlier. She is known as the census taker of the sky. Mga ka-spacers, let us meet Annie Jump Cannon. She was born on December 11, 1863 in Delaware, U.S. and passed away on April 13, year 1941. She was the eldest daughter of her parents, Wilson and Mary Elizabeth. She suffered from hearing loss at a young age, but she was inspired by her mom to pursue science. Annie began her career as one of the few dozen mathematicians who would catalog and classify various stars. She was known for her speed at classifying the stars, and she was credited with classifying 5,000 stars per month for 4 years. Can you believe? She was the first woman to receive a Doctor of Astronomy degree from Groningen University. She is also dedicated to fighting for women's rights and was a member of the National Women's Party. She worked in the observatory up until her death in the year 1940. Now, with her contributions, Annie developed the Harvard Catalog of Variable Stars. She classified about 350,000 stars manually, take note, and discovered about 300 variable stars and 5 novae.
After the great late Annie Jump Cannon, Henrietta Swan Leavitt, who was born on July 4, 1868 on Lancaster, Massachusetts, she was quiet and serious person, but yet again, she dedicated her work despite being very religious and being prone to her own health. Later on, in 1908, she published a paper on the subject 1777 variables in the Magellanic Clouds, summarizing her work. In these clouds, Leavitt discovered 969 variable stars in the small cloud and 808 variable stars in the large cloud, which makes a total of 1,777. These stars are classed as Cepheid variable stars. In 1921, she was made head of stellar photometry at the Harvard College Observatory, but she did not enjoy it that much, considering that she became deaf as the years passed. She died at the age of 53 due to stomach cancer, but little to no credit did she receive any credit during her work, especially during her lifetime. After her death, however, other astronomers came to recognize her work. For example, an American astronomer, Edwin Hubble, used Leavitt's information to help him compute the distance to the Andromeda Galaxy, which is the closest large galaxy to the Milky Way.
We have Helen Battle Sawyer Hogg. Helen Sawyer Hogg was born on August 1, 1905, and she died on January 28 on the year 1993. Her father was Edward Everett Sawyer, a banker, and her mother, Carrie Myra Sawyer, was a teacher. Her parents strongly encouraged her to explore nature, including the stars. At the age of 5, she was allowed outdoors in the evening to witness the 1910 appearance of Halley's Comet. Now, mga ka-spacers, I would like to share this beautiful quote that came from Helen Sawyer Hogg herself. I quote, "Very little time is required to see and enjoy the beauties of the sky. Once you come to know them, they never lose their appeal."
The next female, or astronomer to be exact, is Margaret Bernice. She was born on August 12, 1990 in Davenport, Cheshire, England, and died on April 5, 2020. Fun fact is that both of her parents were chemists. When she was 21 years old, Margaret Burbage had the opportunity to start working as an astronomer. But despite being in the midst of the World War II, when she began making her first observations, she used a 60-centimeter Wilson reflecting telescope, and as soon as the war ended, Margaret completed her PhD course at London University College. Her PhD thesis was a spectroscopic study of B stars, or beryllium stars. Margaret Burbage found the great goal of her intellectual and professional life in astronomy. Burbage worked on other fundamental parts of astronomy, such as the masses and rotations of spiral galaxies like the Milky Way and redshifts to quasars. She was the first female president of the International Astronomical Union's Commission on Galaxies, first woman to be appointed director of the Royal Greenwich Observatory in London, and president of the American Astronomical Society. She made notable contributions to the theory of quasars, to measures of the rotation and masses of galaxies, and to the understanding of how chemical elements are formed in the depths of stars through nuclear fusion.
Allow me to do the honor to introduce to our spacers tonight your favorite female astronomer, who is none other than Nancy Grace Roman. Miss Nancy Grace Roman observed the star AG Draconis. Roman was involved in launching 3 orbiting solar observatories and 3 small astronomical satellites. Her other launches included 4 geodetic satellites. She also planned for the Astronomy rocket program, high-energy astronomy observatories, the Scout probe to measure the relativistic gravity redshift, and other experiments on Spacelab, Gemini, Apollo, and Skylab. She also held various other positions in NASA, including Chief of Astronomy and Relativity. The last program in which she was highly involved was the Hubble telescope. She helped to sell it. She also organized the astronomers included in that activity or program, and eventually convinced Congress to fund it. After working for NASA for 21 years, she continued until 1997 her work for contractors who supported the Goddard Space Flight Center. She passed away on December 25th, 2018. Wow, very timely. It's almost Christmas. Now, okay, I will give you the virtual floor now. Will you do the honor to share with us, to share with our spacers tonight, Miss Roman's contributions?
Oh, sure, Santa. Thank you very much for the early present. Now, for Nancy Grace Roman's contribution, she was mainly involved in the Hubble Space Telescope, which earned her nickname, the Mother, the Hubble. Then later on, she worked with Jack Holtz on the Small Astronomy Satellite and Don Burrowbridge on Space Telescope. In the year 1955, she documented new spectral types, photoelectric magnitudes, and colors and spectroscopic parallaxes for about 600 high-velocity stars. In 1959, she wrote a paper on the detection of extraterrestrial planets. Then later on, she discovered that stars made of hydrogen and helium move faster than stars composed of other heavier elements. Then later on, she discovered that not all stars were commonly the same age. And she also did research and published on the subject of locating constellations from its 1875.0 position.
Good job, reindeer. Rudolph.
The late great Vera Cooper Rubin once said that there is no problem in science that can be solved by a man that cannot be solved by a woman. She was born on the year 1928, then died on the year 2016. She wrote a children's book titled My Grandmother is an Astronomer, and in the year 1951, she made one of the first observations of deviation from the Hubble flow in the motions of galaxies. Her PhD thesis upon graduation in 1954 concluded that galaxies come together rather than being randomly distributed throughout the universe. The Robin-Font effect, named after Vera Rubin and William Kent Ford, describes the motion of the Milky Way relative to a simple sample of galaxies. She was the first woman allowed to use the instruments at the Palomar Observatory, and at that same year, which that year was in the year 1965, she also had a permanent position at the Department of Terrestrial Magnetism at the Carnegie Institution of Washington and has worked there as an astronomer since that time. In the year 1978, she researched and analyzed over 200 galaxies. Wow! Ang dami nun! And she began working closely to the topic of her previously controversial thesis regarding galaxy clusters with instrument maker Kent Ford. Wishing to avoid controversy, she moved her area of research to the study of rotation curves of galaxies, commencing with the Andromeda galaxy. Her contributions were mostly or mainly about dark matter. Coming to this conclusion after examining star spectra in the Andromeda galaxy to figure out their individual velocities using the Keep Peak Observatory in the mountains of southern Arizona. Rubin also did pioneering research in the little studied field of galaxy rotation, which she uncovered the discrepancy between the predicted angular motions of galaxies and the observed motion by studying galactic rotation curves.
Trailblazing woman in the field of astronomy, we have Cecilia Payne Gaposhkin, in which I actually remember when I attended the first ever webinar held by BSYA, hosted by my partner, of course, Mr. Matthew. Okay, proceeding. She was the first conclusive evidence that H, or hydrogen, is the most abundant element in the universe. The abundance of H, hydrogen, and He, or helium, in the Sun and other stars. In 1925, she became the first person to earn a PhD in astronomy from Radcliffe College of Harvard University. Her thesis title was Stellar Atmospheres, a contribution to the observational study of high temperature in the reversing layers of. On the year 1925, she detected the Stark effect and the spectra of the hottest stars. Eventually, Payne-Gaposchkin obtained a position more appropriate to her contribution. She was given the title of astronomer in the year 1938 and shortly after Phillips Astronomer at Harvard College Observatory. She actually also held that position until 1956 when she was appointed professor of astronomy at Harvard University. Wow! The first ever woman to become a professor at Harvard. She served as chair of the Department of Astronomy at Harvard University from 1956 to 1960, becoming the first woman to serve as a department chair.
Introducing to you the very, very, very great Margaret Hamilton, which she was the director of the Software Engineering Division of the MIT Instrumentation Laboratory, which she developed onboard flight software programs for NASA's Apollo program, basically. She later founded two software companies, which those are the Higher Order Software in 1976 and the Hamilton Technologies in 1986. From 1961 to 1963, Hamilton worked on the Semi-Automatic Ground Environment, or the STAGE, project at the MIT Lincoln Lab, where she was one of the programmers who wrote software for the prototype or FSQ-7 computer, or the XD-1. She was initially hired as a programmer for this process but moved on to system designs, and eventually she was in charge of all command module software, or the CMD or CMS, which was all the software for navigation and lunar landing guidance. She eventually led a team credited with developing the software for Apollo and Skylab, the Apollo and Skylab programs. Then later on, her team was responsible for developing in-flight software, which included algorithms designed by various senior scientists for the Apollo command module, lunar lander, and the subsequent Skylab. Another part of her team designed and developed the system software. This included error detection and recovery software such as restart and the display interface routines, which Hamilton designed and developed.
Spacers, we are down to the second to the last trailblazing woman in the field of astronomy. I introduce to you Carolyn S. Shoemaker. Carolyn S. Shoemaker was inspired by her husband, Eugene Shoemaker, and she started her astronomical career in the year 1980. At the age of 51, searching for Earth-crossing asteroids and comets at the California Institute of Technology. She was hired by the USGS as a visiting scientist in the astronomy branch. Then later on, she began to work as an astronomy research professor at Northern Arizona University. She used to film taken at the Wide Field Telescope at the Palomar Observatory, sorry for that, combined with a stereoscope to find objects that moved against the background of fixed stars. Mga ka-spacers, despite her short career in astronomy, she was able to discover a total of 32 comets and discovered more than 500 asteroids, which is a pretty good number now because she started late, with her most notable discovery in the Shoemaker-Levy 9 comet.
So with that, everyone, there's just one last astronomer that I would like everyone to know who that person is. So Santa, did you know that the first image of a black hole was discovered by none other than a female astronomer?
I did not know about that. Okay, sige nga, Rudolph. Prove to us that you are not just Santa's red-nosed reindeer.
So guys, the first black hole the first image of a black hole was discovered by Katie Bowman, which she was a fellow postdoctoral who's studying at Harvard, which she developed a code to find the black hole needle in the haystack of data collected from the effort, which the photo that's currently being presented right now was the first time she saw the results of that work with that black hole image on her computer screen. This is a photo of pure Eureka moment. It is a pure Eureka moment, in fact. Because who wouldn't be surprised by digging out at how many months of data, how many years of compiled data to finally find the image that you're looking for. And for me, I'm quite amazed. So with that, that's our topic for today. And oo nga mga ka-spacers, would Santa do the honors and tell them what's up?
I would gladly. Once again, I am Hannah Marie Franstan, your Santa for tonight, telling all of you, a life spent in the routine of science need not destroy the attractive human element of a woman's nature.
And my name is Shiva Cruz, your reindeer, Rudolph, telling you to fly high, aim high, and find the star that's meant for you. Thank you!
Guys, that's our work head committee right there. The one with the glasses and the reindeer.
Yes,
Bye
sir.
everyone.
Bye everyone!
So ayan mga ka-spacers, so ayan yung mga trailblazing women of astronomy. Yan, so sana marami po kayong natutunan dun sa third video presentation. And ako po ay nagpapasalamat sa mga members ng BSYA, the Bedouin Society of Young Astronomers, who made and prepared all those video presentations. So talagang gagaling ng mga members ng BSYA. Alright, so siguro bago po tayo magtapos, again, shout out sa lahat ng mga nakikinig po ngayon at nakatutok sa ating programang BSYA Presents from Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. So marami pong salamat and shout out sa mga officers and crew of the Bedan Society of Young Astronomers. Alright, so hanggang dito na lang po tayo and sana marami po kayong natutunan sa aming programang BSYA Presents. Okay, so this is your Kaspacer and Space Commander, Professor June Cajigal from the Bedan Society of Young Astronomers, saying, live long and prosper. So mga ka-spacers, always stay safe. We are not yet done with the pandemic. Tumataas pa rin po ang kaso ng COVID-19. So just stay at home and stay safe, everybody. So goodbye. See you in our next Saturday live stream event. Maraming salamat po.